Hey, everybody, excited to be here with Mark, who just broke into Rippling. Very excited to share your story. I know you've got a lot of great insights for everyone watching. Maybe just setting the stage, share a little bit about your background and what got you looking at tech sales in the first place.
Sure, Eric. Yeah, happy to be here. My background, I started out freelance in the marketing space, doing crypto and NFTs. Very exciting and fast-paced for a while, but eventually made the transition into sales. And I picked it because it matched my skills and the skills I want to develop, being able to persuade prospects and to advocate a value case and understand and present a product in face of objections or early sales resistance. And been loving my choice ever since. Went from rental car, which was very in person and kind of a high pressure environment at times, trying to make everyone happy. I maintained over 96% customer satisfaction rating for 3 months going before I ended up going to a more technology and software sales based role in an office. And from that, I wanted to transition to being an SDR because we didn't have an AE track, which I didn't know was something very important at the time. And that's where we are now.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Great context. And that kind of leads me to my next question, which I think would be really great to just get your perspective on. I know you have past sales experience. You've worked, I would say, in kind of a niche of tech, which is that crypto NFT space. And you decided ultimately to elect in training. Before we get to why higher levels was the best choice for you, given that you already had experience, what still went into the thought process of, I do want to get some external training and coaching?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it really comes down to the fact that you and the instructors and Chris at higher levels just have like a really detailed knowledge of the industry, and you have a ton of experience. You guys are ahead of us in your career, so you have already kind of gone through this process. And when I was looking at your videos and how you explained the career path, which I didn't have knowledge of at the time, I really came to understand like what exactly my knowledge gaps were, and like eventually like what kind of value you guys had. And so that eventually convinced me that getting this training was the right choice, even though I did have some career experience. I saw that by taking the training, I could kind of build upon that foundation and get even further. And I could see that without that training, that I would not, I would have taken way more time probably to do the same thing, and it wouldn't have been as smooth or as easy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear. And obviously I'd love to see the result too. That I think is the biggest thing we're focused on, like Rippling, a huge company, very quickly growing. And also I didn't ask you before this if I can share your salary, so I won't, but a very impressive starting salary as well. So that was great to see. If there's anything that you haven't mentioned too, I'm just curious. Obviously, there's tons of coaches, there's tons of programs out there. Was there anything about higher levels that kind of made it the de facto choice for you as opposed to any other program out there?
Yeah, I actually didn't take any other program for tech sales in specific, but I have taken other courses for like Airbnb hosting, which I have done successfully. But the reason I moved was for a career, and had I stayed over at my previous role at Six, I would still be doing that. I guess what kind of stood out, not to talk down on other courses, but some of them had like funny thumbnails or like funny video titles that didn't really appeal to me. They just seemed like too hype focused or kind of out there. But all your videos seemed like more professional. And of course, when I clicked on them and listened to the content, I really came to see that you guys knew your stuff.
No, we appreciate that. And I'd love to transition this too, to give some free value out there to anyone watching. Again, you broke into a great company. You got a great starting salary. And I know as we were talking throughout your entire interview process, you did have several different interviews. So maybe just focusing there, and again, free value for anyone listening. Is there anything you feel like you really did to get multiple interviews and stand out? And then after that, we'll look more at the interview processes themselves.
Oh yeah, so for that, it's really deciding to commit to being an SDR and going on this career track of sales development, business development to sales manager, AE most commonly. And so that means taking a resume and rewriting all my experience to fit being an SDR and why that fits doing that in specific, and not kind of being between two career tracks like, oh, what about inside sales and SDR, and using the same resume that's kind of in the middle. It's really specializing down, and that really helped to get those initial interviews. And then during the interview, being very clear about why your experience fits and why you fit the company, and just explaining that very clearly and cutting out the fluff, so to speak, so that they know exactly why I'm there and why I'm a fit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And as you are getting into maybe second and third round interviews, given that you had sales experience, maybe not directly in a SaaS or tech environment per se, any learnings there, or maybe for that person that's on the outside looking in that has car sales or other experience, any adjustments you needed to make to your approach, or things that stand out there?
I think knowing the industry is very important, knowing what this SDRs do and what that company does, and having that knowledge, and then going back to the resume and editing that to fit what the duties are going to be. So just that background research, and that can also come from watching higher levels videos and being active in the community, which they're going to have access to once they buy the course. Yeah, I think that's going to be important for being able to be convincing during the interviews, and also just landing them on the presentation side with LinkedIn also. So as they edit their resume to fit being an SDR, then they're also going to edit their LinkedIn to do that as well, which recruiters look at. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I guess on the interview process, if there's anything you feel like you haven't touched on, feel free, and/or just call it. And maybe as we go to a close, advice to your younger self. I know we were talking before this recording, you've seen tons of our videos here at Higher Level, so it's cool to have you on the other side now as one of the testimonials themselves. But just looking back on your entire process, yeah, like any other advice you'd give, whether it's interview or just more broadly about the process, to anyone on the outside looking in?
Yeah, like I said, I watched pretty much all the testimonials on the channel in the playlist. There's like 90 of them, and on the car commute to work and on the way back and at home, I would just be watching those and kind of seeing how everyone else had accomplished what I was looking to do. So it is nice to be on the other side, as you said, in a testimonial now. I'd say advice: if you have sales experience, or if someone is looking to get into being an SDR, then I think sales experience is really good for doing that. And it can be something adjacent to tech. It could be, like you said, car sales or rental. If they're putting up numbers and they have results, that would be really nice. But they don't necessarily need sales experience as well if they have really good knowledge of the industry and they're doing their research. That's, I think, could be, and have education or a course education, that could be a supplement for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I know, no doubt, you put in the work. I know, again, we were talking before the recording, you haven't even started yet, and you're spending some time preparing for the role already.
Oh yeah,
so
I need to make sure I'm prepared. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And now this is great advice. If there's anything that comes to mind before we sign off, like, feel free to add it. But again, thanks again, and I don't know, maybe enjoy a weekend before before you get fully on the grind, man. Congrats again.
Yeah, I think the best way I'll enjoy my weekend is by preparing, and just wanted to have a chance to say the course is definitely worth it, as long as someone has decided that they want to be an SDR and tech sales is what they really want. The course definitely has the value for them. It depends on where they are in life as well, but I think as an investment, it does make sense for most people out there. That's just what I wanted to put in. Great value.
Yeah, much appreciated, Mark. And obviously, first and foremost, stoked for the result that you got, not just breaking in, but breaking into a great company, great starting salary, and I think a great launch pad to see where it'll take you 2 to 3 years from now. So keep up the great work, man, and much appreciated.
Thanks, Eric.